Ohio State hires Oregon running backs coach Carlos Locklyn. Your thoughts on the move for Ohio State?
Yeah, I think this is a really underrated one. This is a guy that we didn't even bring up in the early conversation. The foregone thought was, oh, they're just going to go after one of the premier names. McCullough at Notre Dame was one that we brought up. The Texas running backs coach is completely escaping my mind right now. But we assumed we're going to go and spend money. This is one I look at his background, having been a longtime high school offensive coordinator and then a director of high school relations at Memphis and Florida State. I think that this is a really nice piece to add to your coaching staff. Somebody who has direct relationships with head coaches across high schools across the country. I like this. I really do. I think it is against the grain of what we typically see sometimes with these hires, where it's just go get the biggest name. Go hire DeMarco Murray like Oklahoma did, who played for the team, and it's going to look really good in recruiting. But instead, let's get a guy who played at Chattanooga that's going to understand how to maintain and build relationships. I think that is great for the running back position, and he's also worked with some pretty talented players in his couple of years at Oregon.
I fully agree with you. Joe, when this hire happened, what my first thought was? How much did Chip Kelly get involved in this? And let me tell you why. Because I think Chip Kelly had a front row seat to what Oregon was doing more than Ryan Day. Maybe not so much because Ohio State faced Oregon, a while back, regardless. I do think that he had a lot of say into this, and I do think it's a fantastic hire. But he's going into a very loaded running back room. He's recruited well at Oregon. And the question is going to be, how much can he get out of Henderson? How much can he get out of Quinshon Judkins? The Quinshon Judkins thing, regardless of whatever happens with Quinshon Judkins, is not going to be on him. My point would be with this is, and something that I like Ryan Day, dudes that have called plays are all over the place. High recruiters, guys, people that have called plays. Joe, quite honestly, outside of Chip Kelly, they have a staff that has been really good at recruiting. I think that Ryan Day, for the criticism, Joe, that he receives, some of it being a little unfair, okay? Because if I put up Kirby's, stats and what Kirby did versus Ryan Day and how similar they've been, both played for a national championship and lost, okay, this would be the year that you would see Ryan Day ascend and win one. My only thing is that when it comes to staff additions, you got to give a tip of the cap to Ryan Day and what they're doing. I think this is a fantastic hire. I think going again, Carlos is in this position. I think that people thought that there was some stalemate at that position group and that there wasn't a good enough recruiting there. I think that you changed that overnight. And Joe, good for them on not panicking. What do I mean by that?
Being patient.
They were very patient. They didn't freak out. They didn't overreact. And I think that goes to what Chip Kelly probably gotten Ryan Day's ear about, and just Ryan Day having now more experience to not freak out and go and getting what I saw. Look, when this was made, I saw coaches around the country going, wow, like highly surprised, not only surprised, but thought that this hire was highly thought of as one of the best in not just right now in a running back room, but one of the best position coaching hires that they could have made.
Yeah, and again, I think that it is worth giving praise for this decision too, because you're not. I almost think that it's not lazy, but it's the easy thing to do, to just go and spend all this money and use up a ton of your salary, your budget, your budget salary budget. Geez. And spending it on a big premier name that could have been out there, but instead to look for somebody, right. They did it with Chip Kelly for a position that sometimes doesn't always need to have the biggest name in the room to succeed. I think that it is creative for them to say, okay, let's look around the country. Let's look at opportunities and examples of guys that have found success but aren't typically brought up in the top conversations of the best at their position group. So I think that this is a really, really just strong fit for the way that they're building their coaching staff, that it really rounds things out, and it might put them in a much better position than what they had before. Locklyn is going to be a hire that I think is going to pay dividends.
Very much so. And again, I mean, look, I do think that there are some position groups like running back, that get overlooked and overshadowed, like you mentioned. He's got the bet. He's going to have to look. How do I want to say this? I don't want to put unwanted pressure, but he's going to have to deliver because there's nobody in the country that has a better running back room than you right now. Nobody.
No.
So
No.
if you're not having production, then that's on you, Bucko. I mean, you have. I mean, would you say that Henderson's a second round pick? Like, would you put him there?
Yeah. It's very hard to
so
have a
you
first
have
round
two running backs that go in the top 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well then
without a
you're
doubt.
going to produce, and there's no
Right.
other questions. You wanted to bring up Devin Brown. Do you want to get to that?
No, I want to save that for.
Okay.
I want to save that for Wednesday because it's a bigger conversation.
All right. How do you want to end it then?
We'll be back on Wednesday. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.